Welcome to Plant Your Seed. I'm your host, Fred Ferris. On each episode, we share stories of how ordinary people have transformed their lives. Each story is compassionate, each story is authentic, and each story is a transformation. Here are the stories of the people who are changing our world by transitioning to a plant-based diet. Today on Plant Your Seed, joining us from Chicago, Illinois, we have Stefanie Ignoffo. Stefanie is a plant interventionist, CEO and founder of Plantspiration and a Food For Life Instructor with the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, and has completed the American College of Lifestyle Medicine Coaching Program. Welcome, Stefanie.
Hi, Fred. Thanks so much for having me. Honor to be here.
Thanks for being here on Plant Your Seed. Now, your personal story is so interesting. Let's start with that. How and when did you transition to a plant-based diet?
I officially transitioned in January of 2013. How did I do that, or how did it start? My daughter was 15 at the time. It was actually 2012 when the word vegan first came into my house. My daughter was 15 at the time. She came home. She said she was reading this book called Aragon. And in the book, a character was vegan, talking about, we don't use any other living beings for our own purpose. I just remember thinking, what a crock this is. I don't want to be getting into this special diet or this fad. I was really against it at first. And I hoped it would just go away. But yeah, I really did. I started researching. I thought, I'm going to prove that she's going to die if she does this. Like, how is she going to survive?
Mm-hmm.
No protein, no dairy, her bones are going to break. All the, I think, stereotypical things, that we've been taught. So I started researching, how long can you live without meat? And this movie, Forks Over Knives, came up. I remember, I'm sedentary, housewife, facing double knee replacements, alcoholic. I'm going to watch a couple minutes of this Forks Over Knives documentary.
Mm-hmm.
2 minutes, I thought, okay, so it's not going to kill her, but I'm certainly not going to give up my cheese, and I'm certainly not going to give up my alcohol. And, I shut the movie down, and my husband and I just thought, maybe this will soon pass. We'll get over this, and she'll get back to eating meat, and this ridiculousness can end. But it didn't end.
Mm-hmm.
Kept going. So as we were coming home from what was our 9th surgery in 11 months between my husband and myself, we were fat, we were sick, and I was almost dead. I had just failed my last stress test. I was facing double knee replacements. I had autoimmune disease. Acid reflux, was a constant.
Mm-hmm.
Chronic fatigue, chronically ill, depression, diverticulitis, fibrocystic breast disease, gastrointestinal disorders, IBS, pancreatitis, migraines, and I was 100 pounds overweight. So get out of this surgery, this last surgery that we were in, the doctor says, this is going to be a longer recovery than we expected. John's not going to be able to, work. Well, he was self-employed, and I was about to file for disability. I just failed my last stress test. Like, I'm not going to be able to keep this up.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like my life flashed before my eyes. We're driving home. We're going to pick up McDonald's now. Before, anybody thinks I got overweight from McDonald's, that was the opposite. I was a professional dieter. I lived in Weight Watchers. I guarantee I was counting my points for whatever I was bringing home that day. We ate out a couple times a year, but I cooked every day. Lean chicken, salads almost 75% of the time, low-fat cottage cheese. I really think I'm healthy. That's why I thought at first, this isn't true, what they could be saying. This movie could save your life. So we're driving home from the hospital, and I'm thinking, well, maybe I'll watch this documentary, lose some weight, be able to get some money going or get a job. We got home, I plopped the documentary on, and I said to the family, my kids, they were in high school, 2 were in high school and 1 was in junior high. And I said, we're going to watch this while we're laid up here. It said this movie could save your life. And I remember thinking, oh, good, because I could use it.
Mm-hmm.
And while we're watching it, I'm looking at my husband. He's laid up. My kids, nobody's really thrilled. My son's obese because, hereditary. My daughters are following, in my footsteps as well, right behind me. And I realize, my gosh, I'm the one doing this. I'm the
Mm-hmm.
reason. I'm watching this movie thinking, I'm the one that's promoting this. I'm bringing this food home.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of weight loss, was still there. It's what drove me in those first few days. But the information changed the way I was looking at it. Like, you could reverse disease. Nobody ever told me this. I didn't quite believe it. I was still in it for the weight loss. But that's how we started. I just, 6 months later, I really put the movie back on, finished watching it. And the next day I said, I'm never bringing animal home again. And I didn't.
Mm.
And I didn't. We just started eating the plants, thinking, let's just give it a week, let's just see how this goes until I go grocery shopping again. But the effect of what we were doing was so rapid, we couldn't stop. It was
Mm.
that within days. Within days, my joints were feeling better. We were all losing weight. We were all feeling better so rapidly that we just kept on going. That's how it started. That's it.
Now, what positive changes did you see? Obviously, you were losing weight, but did you notice any changes mentally?
Oh my gosh. It was like an awakening. I, I said to the kids, I said, I know this sounds strange, but is there something happening that you can't quite explain to anybody else? And once we started talking about it, luckily, Fred, we had each other, to
Mm-hmm.
kind of start talking about how we were feeling. And the kids said they were sleeping better. Their acne was clearing up right away. It was like instant, is how it felt. There was not vegan junk food 10 years ago. So
Right.
when I went plant-based, it was rice, beans, salads with beans, stir fries, simple things. It was simple right in the beginning, and we maintained it. So I teach people, if you want to see a big impact, we want to go 100%. We went 100%, and the impact was massive, massive. Absolutely thinking more clear, no more fogginess, no more fatigue, no more stomach issues, no more migraines, so much more energy, better sleep, better energy. It was, people thought we were sick. People thought we were
Mm-hmm.
on drugs. People thought we were nuts. The pediatrician gave me a hard time. It was so much happening that I just kept going back to, you know, our four walls. Hey, what else do you guys want to try cooking? We had the internet. We were searching, recipes back then, but we always went back to, spaghetti, marinara sauce, the simple things.
Mm-hmm.
We kept it neat, and we kept it going that way.
Now, did you notice when you had better energy that you didn't want to be a couch potato? You wanted to get out and exercise and do things?
Oh my gosh. I remember it was weeks in. So I had experienced overdosing a little bit on my blood pressure medications. I didn't realize this was so serious. I mean, Socrates was right. Let food be thy medicine.
Mm-hmm.
I remember so lethargic a couple weeks in. And then, let's not forget, I was constantly being doubted if I mentioned it. I really didn't respond back to people because I thought the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it did make you second guess yourself in the beginning. And then, I call my doctor and I say, I've started this plant-based thing. I feel so tired. He starts telling me, hey, we can get you off this medication. So I started getting off the medication. And just like that, once I got off my blood pressure pills in those first couple weeks, it was very quick. I said to my husband, can you bring my recumbent bike upstairs? I'd like to at least get moving. I have so much energy. Put all the laundry away. I'm moving around this house like I've never moved before. Get the recumbent bike up here. And I started with 1 mile. And I remember I thought, wow, I actually just did a mile with my knees. I wonder what I can do tomorrow. And it just kept going and going. I ended up buying a bike. I'll tell you what, I just checked my miles this morning. I'm at 15,400 since I bought my bike, and I couldn't do
Wow.
mileage. So I went from crippled to cranking thanks to the plants.
Crippled to cranking. I love it. What is so important about support?
It's key to being able to do this. Social support is key. We need that positive interaction from others. It's why I started the nonprofit, but that's why I believe we were so successful. Not only, I couldn't control everything, by the way, but I could control what I brought home, and it worked. I was a good example for the kids. I kept the documentaries up. We kept educating ourselves, watching what was going on. The food part, the health part was one thing, but it gravitated obviously to ethical and environmental. Those things kept me going.
Now, you can't exercise your way out of a bad diet. What are some of the tips that you can give our listeners to help lose weight?
Tips to lose weight. Oh, I'll tell them right now. We want to keep things low fat. It's really overwhelming today with all the recipes and all the information. So what I really recommend is people just keep it low fat. Keep the nuts out of your hands, I say, and only in the recipes. Don't restrict, don't limit. When you're eating a whole food plant-based diet, no oil, low fat, you really can eat everything you want. Lasagnas, tacos, burgers, pizzas. That's how I really get people revved up. Lots of high fiber, eat your plants off is what I tell people. And that's how I get people to lose weight. That's how we kept it off. 10 years later, I lost 100 pounds. My family lost 250 pounds, and we've kept it off 10 years later.
That's amazing. That's such a great story.
Thank you.
Now, was there anything that you struggled with when you first became plant-based? You mentioned you loved cheese at the time.
I love cheese. Yeah, I didn't really think about that. When you mentioned struggles, I really think the struggles came from society.
Mm-hmm.
My pediatrician, the nurse from the school called me.
Mm.
People were getting concerned around me because we were going vegan. Luckily, I empathized with those questions. I get what people were asking. I went through it myself. That was the struggle, was really dealing with society. Going to the bank, they thought I was sick. They thought I had cancer. It was strange for people. That was my struggle. I couldn't understand. Nobody cared when I was 230 pounds what I was eating. Nobody cared how much I was drinking or what pills I was taking. But suddenly I got healthy, started eating fruits and vegetables, and everyone was concerned. Everybody became an expert in nutrition then.
Everybody became a nutritionist. Nobody cared when you were eating McDonald's, right?
Exactly. That was a struggle.
Now, what did you learn from that with everybody that was kind of against you, everybody from the school nurse to doctors? What did you learn from that?
I learned how to do the research.
Mm.
I'm really getting into it. I took the T. Colin Campbell courses, really got into Dean Ornish, 20-year China study. There was no denying it once you got down to that. A lot of people come back and say, oh, but, they say milk is good for you. Read the research. See who's funding the studies. Look where this information was coming from. Once I understood where the studies were coming from, what the evidence was saying, there was no stopping me. Now I was ready to, stand my ground. This was it. This was the only lifestyle ever proven to prevent and reverse disease. That's all I had to say to people.
Now, was there anything holding you back from becoming vegan? Was it just lack of knowledge?
Definitely lack of knowledge, cultural conditioning, stuff like that, cognitive dissonance, just thinking that, just that way I first thought when my daughter said, I want to go vegan. I rolled my eyes, I thought it was unhealthy. The research was there, the information was there. You just had to check it out, realize it was a good thing to do. We're trying to stop animal cruelty. We're making a positive impact on the planet. We're getting people healthy. What is so wrong about that? Nothing.
Now, how can we break the cognitive dissonance, that disconnect that people have between what they eat and the repercussions of what they eat?
How do we break it? That's a really good question. To me, it's just think deep within. Do we need to harm anything to live? Do we
Mm.
need to promote disease with every bite we take? I don't know how else to explain it. It's just, you have to be open minded. You have to try it. You have to, I mean, what's so bad about eating fruits and vegetables? Well, maybe that's not a good question because some doctors will say, don't eat fruit, you know? So it's it really is hard. I just hope that, well, that's what my whole mission is about. I really want to can reach and teach everybody I can how to do it, why to do it, and how to feel their best and get it done right.
Now, what is a plant interventionist?
Another great question. I love this. A plant interventionist. Give me 5 minutes with somebody, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to say, or I get a lot of people that say, Stephanie, my mom is sick or my dad is sick. Can you talk to them? It really started like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just get people on the phone or set up a call for them. I'm not selling anything. I just sit them down and I say, hey, this is the situation. This is how sick you are. And if you change the way that you're doing things, here's if you like burgers, tacos, pizzas, if you like these things, I can teach you how to do them and eat the same foods, eat the same flavors without promoting that disease. You could prevent and reverse disease by eating this way, or you can keep going down the road you're going. When you're ready, I'm here for you. Usually it takes me about 5 minutes of a call to explain that to people. And once they realize it's much simpler, I weed through the information for them and I explain it, how quickly and easily this can be done. Usually in about 5 minutes, somebody's on board and we get things turned around real quick. So I come into a lot of people's lives and make that intervention by giving them the option or the choice of this is what you can do over here to improve quality of life. And most of the time, when people have that laid out in front of them, they take it.
What is it about a plant-based lifestyle that makes you so passionate?
It feels good being the good, doing the good, not harming anything while we're doing it, inspiring other people while we're doing it. It started with just one person here, my daughter. Then
Mm-hmm.
it spread to five. Then us five spread. Then it spread even more. Now I've got people all over the world learning how to do this, and they're inspiring more people. It's this incredible, infectious domino effect, plant-based. That's what it is. It's just once people get a taste of it, it's hard to go back. It just feels good. It feels right.
What is one thing that's really exciting you right now in your project and your life?
Well, the fact that I've gone global it just keeps inspiring more and more.
Mm-hmm.
We've been working on a food line, a whole food, plant-based, no oil, amazing food line, and things are really moving. At first the struggle was, my own doctor didn't tell me about this. Now, Fred, I'm going to teach the doctors at Rutgers. Physicians Committee is sending me in so I can teach the first and second year medical students about culinary medicine. So to think that I can be a part of something that huge, that's the most exciting thing I've got right now.
Where did you get the courage to start your project, Plantspiration?
The courage came when I helped somebody reverse their type 2 diabetes in 3 weeks.
Mm.
I learned the information, I learned how to do it. And then I started helping people. And once one person comes back and says their A1C is back to normal, they're off their meds, I was like, you know what? More people need to hear about this. The courage came from that. It came from within my family. My one daughter said, Mom, start an Instagram. I thought, okay, let's see how this goes. My son, he helped me with the website so I could help more people, the first website. That support, and then the support of others coming back to help me, that's what really got this going.
What is one of the keys to losing weight?
Keeping it simple. Really keeping it simple. Grains, greens, fruits, vegetables, rice, beans, potatoes, fruits, vegetables, smoothies. Everybody I work with, I love recipes. I love cooking, but let's be realistic. We're busy. We're moms, we're dads, we're wives, we're just CEOs, we're doctors, nurses, teachers, everybody's busy.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy when you keep it easy on yourself. It's so inundated with information right now, and everybody thinks, I need a recipe, I need more recipes. You don't. You need more potatoes, and you need more broccoli. And California balsamic makes everything nice on top of that, but really keeping it simple is how people lose the weight and keep it off. Number one advice I've got right there, and eating your plants off.
What is a typical day for you as far as what you eat in a day?
I eat a lot in a day. Typical day. I really am a huge advocate of Dr. Brooke Goldner's hyper-nourishing smoothies. It's a head of kale, couple cups of fruit, sometimes a banana, a date I'll throw in it. I'll try to drink up the whole 60 ounces in a day. Sometimes I can eat a whole watermelon on top of that, and then maybe a nice pasta or a grain bowl for dinner with potatoes and beans and greens. We really do keep it simple. Burgers is another big recipe, sweet potatoes, black beans, oats. They make incredible burgers. So those simple things like that, lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, and sometimes I do a lot of repeating. I'll eat spring rolls for a week straight, and then I'll get bored and I'll switch over to burgers. Keeping it simple, being consistent, and remembering what your purpose is every day. Gratitude, all those things.
What is your feeling about processed foods like the Beyond Burger, Impossible Burger, and Impossible Meat, things like that?
I think it's wonderful that we're able to go around. I think it's wonderful we're not using animals, okay, to have types of things. So I think it's great. I think they're great bridge foods is what I call them, or they're helpful, but they're not healthful. Okay.
Right.
So it's great we've got these alternatives, but I'm getting people who are eating these foods with diabetes now. We're seeing a lot of chronic illnesses come back from the mass amounts of processed food. So that's great we have these alternatives, but the evidence is there. Processed foods are not what's going to help us prevent and reverse disease. It's making more of an impact even on, the planet, when whole foods, the simplest, it's really overall the best thing we can do. And if we're advocates and we're, really wanting to be out there on our mission, saving the planet, I want to keep people their healthiest. And we can do that by staying on the whole food, plant-based, and keeping away from those oils and those processed foods.
Now, you mentioned earlier that you thought you were eating healthy, and I think everyone thinks that they eat healthy. How can we change that so that people realize that what they're eating might not be as healthy as they think?
You can go to Plantspiration and I'll teach you about that. It's just such a misconception. We've got dietitians and nurses and doctors and people still advocating for keto diet, for lean chicken, for cheeses, for dairy, for oils. There's so much misunderstanding. I mean, people think soy is bad for you when it's a cancer. The research is out there. The information is out there. How do we get people to understand that? Well, I can't wait till I have commercials and there's more and more places, more and more Plantspiration places for people to come in and learn this stuff. But we really need to make sure we're getting the proper information out there. I just like to stop people in their tracks when they've got these rumors going. I don't know how to exactly stop it yet, but we have to keep educating people on nutrition facts. Nutrition facts is really where it's at.
I read where you say if you aren't losing weight on a plant-based diet, then you have to eat more. What is it about eating more that helps you lose weight?
Oh, this is so true. It's why I trademarked Eat Your Plants Off. I realized while I was coaching people, one of the number one obstacles, Fred, we're living in a diet culture world. When people come to me, they come to me because they want to lose weight. I have to shift this onto undoing diet, focusing on health, but we're all really stuck on losing weight. And what do we do when we want to lose weight? We restrict, we cut back, we lay off the carbs. The biggest obstacle with my clients when they come to me is that they're never eating enough. It's just like ingrained in us. I see them show up with these little potatoes or this little bowl, and our body just doesn't work like that. If you want to turn it up, you have to put gas in your gas tank. I use this analogy all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If you put in a tank of gas from Boston, you're never going to make it to Chicago to see me. If you put in a full tank of gas, you're going to stay on the highway. You're going to stay in the fast lane. You're rarely going to get off on an exit. Okay. And those exits, I say, are when people are hungry. That fuels cravings. Okay. Little meals slow down the calorie burning process. When we're full tank, bigger meals, we're stoking that fire. We're filling our gas tank. We're getting those calories burning. It's working. So I really have to work hard with people on getting them to eat more food. It's one of the biggest problems I see. People go plant-based, vegan, they just simply don't eat enough. The cravings kick in. By day 3, they're back to, I don't feel good. I'm not going to be able to keep this up. So eating your plants off and eating more food, you can see I'm really passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real thing. And when you keep it low fat, so these are all the tips. Anybody can listen to this right now and get this done. When you keep those oils out, you keep those, nuts down to a minimum, avocados, olives, those higher fat foods. I didn't say you can't have them. Just watch them right now while you're really trying to get to those goals. And it's gonna really work fast. Fill the gas tank and get ready to put the pedal to the metal and buckle up. That's why I tell people buckle up. The way we buckle up our kids, the way we buckle up in a car. That's how I started thinking about the food. We're trying to keep ourselves safe. Why not start with what we put on our plate?
Very true. What is it about fiber that is so important?
It's what most of America is lacking is what's so important. It's so important. Not only does fiber keep us fuller longer, it keeps us satiated, it actually excretes excess hormones out of the body, boosts our metabolism, helps us function better, helps our gut biome. It just is everything. Everybody asks, where do you get your protein? And I immediately say, well, you tell me first where you get your fiber. Because that's the question we need to be asking. The fibers in these foods and all these plant foods are everything for our body. That's how important fiber is.
What cookbook, book, or documentary have you gifted or recommended to somebody transitioning to a plant-based diet?
So the movie I would recommend, number one, is Forks Over Knives, What the Health. But the book that I've gifted more than anything is a book called Just One Thing by Rick Hansen. Most people think, well, why don't you give out cookbooks or recommend this? Most of the clients I get, Fred, come to me. Actually, everybody. They said, I've read all the books. I've got all the cookbooks. I just can't seem to get this down. It's because it isn't about the cookbooks. It's not about the recipes, and it's not really about the books. Everybody can read them and understand. Plant-based helps us prevent and reverse disease, but it's the mindset and the way you talk. That's how people really start getting aligned. So I learned from Rick Hansen, from a really wonderful therapist I had. She taught me years ago, but I wasn't ready for it. It started coming into play when I made this transition. I dug deep for these tools. And it was about the meditation, the mindfulness. These play a big part in this lifestyle. Food is one part. The other parts come with it: the mindfulness, the meditation, the exercise, the sunlight. There's many aspects to this. So Just One Thing is the number one book I gift out. And I say, we've got to work a little bit on this, and then everything's going to start making sense. And it does.
Finally, can you give me one word to describe how you felt before you became vegan and one word to describe how you feel now that you are vegan?
Ooh, number one word that comes to my head before going vegan was hopeless. I had no drive, no desire, no nothing. Today, I feel aligned. I have a purpose. I feel great. I have something to live for. And we're doing good. I feel aligned.
Now, when you say you're aligned, do you feel that that means that your values are in line with what you're eating as far as kind of like ahimsa, where you're doing no harm and that aligns itself with your thought process?
Exactly. One of the first talks I did was at a young Janes of America center, and that's the first time I learned of the word ahimsa, and I thought, aha, so this is what this is. Exactly that, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. So aligned being, we're all taught to be good, do good, don't harm, don't hurt other people. Well, it should be don't hurt other beings. So when you realize, you're not contributing to that, including, your own self. We have a planet on fire, millions of people eating themselves to death, and billions of animals being slaughtered for no reason. When you realize that you're not contributing to that, it just feels good within.
Everybody thinks that they're a good person.
And they are. And I thought I believed I was too. And I was too, and we are. But it's like that moment when you realize, wow, there's something else that we could be doing. And then you start doing it. I'm not the only one. So many people come back to me. And when I hear them say things like this, that's when I know it resonates and you just don't look back.
What is the most rewarding part of what you do?
Saving lives. Everywhere I look, from animals, the planet, to people. Doesn't get better than that.
Such a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for taking the time. What is the best way for people to follow you and find you on Instagram, the web, and social media in general?
Plantspiration. You can go to plantspiration.org. You could just type in Plantspiration. I'd love to see you in class. I've got an amazing community of people doing it together because we know that's how we stay successful. This isn't a diet, it's a lifestyle. One I want to teach everyone to do, Fred. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be able to reach and teach more people. Really an honor to be here.
Thank you again, Stefanie, for being on Plant Your Seed.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hope you are inspired by this story, and remember, it's never too late to plant your seed. Links to everything we talked about on the podcast can be found on Instagram at plant.yourseed in the show notes tab in the bio. If you enjoyed the show, remember to leave us a review, and until next time, thank you for listening.